Did you not know? Have you not heard? Hasn't he declared to us from the start of the earth? It is he who unfolds the heavens like a velvet curtain. Lift your eyes on high and see who created these. Lift your eyes on high and see who created these.
Shalom, my name is Kerry Alexander, and I have a very important message to share with you today. I've been asked to share a lot of prophetic events concerning the last days, and it's very, very important for us to understand this, because we have never been so close to the end of the age as we are now. And after I share some of these scriptures with you, you'll understand why I say that. And let me just let you know that there have been, of course, we've all been through the past where we've gone through these times thinking it's the last days, and we think we're there, and we wait for the time and it doesn't happen. But the problem with that is that we've been trusting in the interpretation of men. But this time, our Heavenly Father has given us signs in the heavens, and He's given us timestamps that He has placed in the heavens that we cannot dismiss. And so He is showing us, and He's been trying to show us for a long time about these signs and about this coming events, because He doesn't want us to be ignorant, and He wants us to be ready for Him so that day doesn't come upon us as a thief in the night. And I'm going to use the book of Matthew as a basic outline to get us started, and then I'll go on to the signs from there. So turn to Matthew 24. This is a great place to see the outline of events that bring us to the last days of this age. And so the disciples come to Him. It says, and going out, Yahushua went away from the set-apart place, and His taught ones came near to point out to Him the buildings of the set-apart place. And Yahushua said to them, do you not see all these? Truly I say to you, not one stone shall be left here upon another at all, which shall not be thrown down. As He sat on the Mount of Olives, the taught ones came to Him separately, saying, well, say to us, when shall this be? And what is the sign of your coming and the end of the age? There's three questions. When will the temple be destroyed? And what is the sign of your coming and the end of the age? So He's actually answering three of these questions. And Yahushua answering said to them, take heed that no one leads you astray. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and they shall lead many astray. And you shall begin to hear of fightings and reports of fightings. See that you are not troubled, for these have to take place, but the end is not yet. For nation shall rise against nation, and reign against reign, and there shall be scarcities of food, and deadly diseases, and earthquakes in places. And all these are the beginning of birth pains. Then they shall deliver you up to affliction and kill you. And you shall be hated by all nations for my name's sake. And then many shall stumble, and they shall deliver up one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall arise, and lead many astray. And because of the increase in lawlessness, the love of many shall become cold. But he who shall have endured to the end shall be saved. And this good news of the reign shall be proclaimed in all the world as a witness to all the nations. And then the end shall come. So, when you see the abomination that lays waste spoken of by Daniel the prophet, set up in the set-apart place, he who reads, let him understand. Then let those who are in Judea flee to the mountains. Let him who is on the housetop not come down to take whatever out of his house. And let him who is in the field not turn back to get his garments. And woe to those who are pregnant and to those who are nursing children in those days. And pray that your flight does not take place in winter or on the Sabbath. For then there shall be great distress, such as not been since the beginning of the world until this time, no, nor ever shall be. And if those days were not shortened, no flesh would be saved. But for the sake of the chosen ones, those days shall be shortened. If anyone then says to you, look, here's the Messiah, or there, do not believe it. For false messiahs and false prophets shall arise, and they shall show great signs and wonders so as to lead astray, if possible, even the chosen ones. See, I have forewarned you. So if they say to you, look, he's in the desert, do not go out, or look, he's in the inner rooms, do not believe. For as the lightning, or actually a correct interpretation of that is, for as the sun shines from the east and shines to the west, so also shall the coming of the Son of Adam be. For wherever the dead body is, there the eagles shall be gathered together. And immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Adam shall appear in the heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Adam coming on the clouds of the heaven with power and much esteem. And he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, from one end of the heavens to the other. And learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender, and it puts forth leaves, you know that the summer is near. So you also, when you see all these, know that he is near, at the doors. Truly I say to you, this generation shall by no means pass away until all this takes place. The heaven and the earth shall pass away, but my words shall by no means pass away. Okay, so I want to point out something to you really quick. All of this that happened before in this chapter, right before it says, and immediately after the distress of those days, well, that shows us there's a difference in the time of trouble, time of Jacob's trouble, and also there's a difference between that and when the wrath of Elohim shall be poured out upon the earth. Because the tribulation period is actually all the nations of the earth coming against Yahuwah's people. That's the great tribulation. That is Jacob's trouble. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Adam shall appear in the heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn. And see, that's when the wicked will be consumed and destroyed. That will be the wrath of Elohim. That will be the time when the mountains are leveled and the valleys raised and the oceans dried up. We don't want to be here at that time at all. But it says right here in Matthew 24, and immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened, and the moon shall not give its light, and the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heaven shall be shaken. And then the sign, the oath, the sign of the Son of Adam shall appear in the heaven. And then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Adam coming on the clouds of the heaven with power and much esteem. And then he shall send his messengers with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his chosen ones from the four winds, from the end of the heavens to the other. So this is showing us that, the rapture doesn't get us away and take us earlier than the time that the sun is darkened and the moon does not shed its light. By that time, the great distress has already happened to Yah's people. And so the rapture does not take us away from that and clear us from that. So let's look at this outline. First, there's false messiahs will come. And then there's fighting and wars. And then there's scarcities of food. And deadly diseases. And earthquakes. Well, we have experienced all of these. Actually, America has not experienced much of scarcities of food or too many deadly diseases like the other nations have. But the whole world is in this. And so we have to consider the whole world. But we have experienced earthquakes. And so this right up here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these 5 things are what we have experienced. And so we know we are in this time right here, right now. And then he talks about these are the beginning of birth pains. And what does that mean? Well, the birth pains are referring to the woman who bears a child and she has birth pains. And so this is actually a constellation that's in the heavens, and it is actually a time stamp when this constellation shows up. And so I'll get into that later. But after that time, after that sign we see in the heavens, this is what happens. There will be captivity and death. Many shall stumble and turn against each other. False prophets will lead many astray. The lawless will become loveless. And then witnesses proclaim the good news to the world, and then the end. And so, let me talk about a few of these. Well, let me talk about all these, actually. False messiahs will come. The Pope of Rome has been a long-standing position of the false messiah. He claims to be the Messiah reincarnate, the vicar of Christ, or the replacement of Messiah. Then there's Sun Myung Moon. He was the founder of the Unification Church, called the Moonies. Remember them? I do. Maybe it's because I'm a little older. Anyways, he claims he is a second coming of Christ, or the Savior, returning Lord, and true parent. I'm just quoting his words. L. Ron Hubbard was another false messiah. He was the founder of the Church of Scientology. He declared himself to be Mattia, or Maitreya, the forthcoming world spiritual teacher and leader, in the 1955 poem Hymn of Asia. In the book's preface, his editors indicated that Hubbard possessed specific physical characteristics said to be outlined in unnamed Sanskrit sources as properties of Maitreya. Jim Jones, you remember him, claimed to be the reincarnation of Jesus, Akhenaten, Buddha, Lenin, and Father Divine. He performed supposed miracle healings to attract new converts. Members of Jones's church called him Father and believed their movement was the solution to the problems of society. Many did not distinguish Jones from the movement. He was the American founder of People's Temple, which became synonymous with group suicide after the November 18, 1978 death of over 900 people from cyanide poisoning in their isolated agricultural intentional community called Jonestown, along with the death of 9 other people at a nearby airstrip and in Georgetown. And then we have Baha'u'llah. He was born a Shiite, adopting Babism later in life. He claimed to be the promised one of all religions and founded the Baha'i faith. Baha'u'llah declared that he was the promised one of all religions, fulfilling the messianic prophecies found in world religions. He stated that his claims to being several messiahs converging one person were the symbolic rather than literal fulfillment of the messianic and eschatological prophecies found in the literature of major religions. But these are just a few. I'm not going to spend this whole time telling you all the false messiahs. It would be ridiculous because there are many. Because he said there'd be many false messiahs. Fighting in wars is the next thing that would come. And here I have a list of the wars that we've had in modern day time, starting with the American Revolutionary War, 1775 to 1782, Napoleonic Wars, 1799 to 1815, American Civil War, 1861, 1865, World War I, 1914 to 1918, World War II, 1939 to 1945, the Six-Day War, 1967, War of Attrition, 1967, 1970, the Yom Kippur War, 1973, the Gulf War, 1990, we remember that, the Iraq War, 2003, Afghanistan War, 2015 to present, and then the Syrian Civil War, 2011 to present. So that's nation rising up against nation. So that's definitely happened. What's next? Then he said there would be scarcities of food. And from 2014 to 2016 estimates, there have been 794.6 million in the world that are suffering from scarcities of food. I think that's very significant. That's 10% or almost 11% of the world population. But it's probably going to get worse than that. And when you don't have food, you have deadly diseases. Here are 9 deadliest viruses on the earth today. The Ebola virus, Marburg virus, rabies, smallpox, hantavirus, influenza, dengue, rotavirus. And they're actually creating more viruses now. And then the next thing is earthquakes. The trend of earthquakes from 1982 to 2014 on this graph, you can see in this graph the sharp incline of earthquakes, magnitude 6 plus quakes on a 10-year average. So that definitely has gone up. And we are looking at Yellowstone right now. Yellowstone right now is on the verge of blowing. Nobody knows exactly when that'll happen, but the land mass has already risen. They've had several thousand earthquakes in that area. And, well, they have had over 1,000 earthquakes in that area in just a few weeks. And so now, here are the events to come. So we have experienced all of these things up to this point in the world. And so the next thing to happen is this: the beginning of birth pains. And when we see this sign in the heavens, this is the sign that lets us know that more devastation is coming, and it's not going to be pretty. But let me remind you to pray. Pray to Yahuwah and ask Him that you be found worthy to escape all these things that are happening, that are coming upon the earth. After that sign that we see, there will be captivity and death. And I want you to pay special attention to this verse in 1 Thessalonians 5, 1 through 11. And it says, "Now, brothers, as to the times and the seasons, you do not need to be written to," because that was way back then. "For you yourselves know very well that the day of Yahuwah comes as a thief in the night. For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them as labor pains upon a pregnant woman, and they shall not escape. But you, brothers, are not in darkness, so that that day should overtake you as a thief. For you are all sons of light and sons of the day. We are not of the night or darkness. So then we should not sleep as others do, but we should watch and be sober. For those who sleep, sleep at night, and those who get drunk are drunk at night. But we who are of the day should be sober, putting on the breastplate of belief and love, and as a helmet of expectation of deliverance, because Elohim did not appoint us to wrath, but to obtain deliverance through our Messiah, Yahushua, who died for us so that we, whether awake or asleep, should live together with Him. Therefore, encourage one another and build up one another, as indeed you do." So, I'm going to back up here a little bit. It says, "For when they say peace and safety, then sudden destruction comes upon them." And I just want to tell you that the UN, on September 21st, the UN says that they're going to get together and have a huge meeting, and they're going to ring the peace and safety bell. This peace and safety is not peace and safety for Yah's people. I guarantee you that. Because what is going to happen is the UN is going to send a flood of immigrants to the United States. And it's not going to be much fun. Let's just put it that way. The next thing is, many shall stumble and turn against each other. Look at this, what it says in Daniel 11, 33 through 36. "And those of the people who have insight shall give understanding to many. And they shall stumble by sword and flame, by captivity and plundering for days. And when they stumble, they shall be helped a little help. But many shall join them by flatteries." I believe those flatteries to be by the beast system. And they'll try to make it look like it's a good thing for us to enter the FEMA camps. But I'm telling you, stay away from the FEMA camps. You'll just die there. "And some of those who have insight shall stumble to refine them, and to cleanse them, and to make them white until the time of the end, for it is still for an appointed time. And the sovereign shall do as he pleases, and exalt himself and show himself to be great above every mighty one, and speak incredible matters against the El of mighty ones, and shall prosper until the wrath has been accomplished. For what has been decreed shall be done." Remember what I said about the tribulation and then the wrath? There's two different sections here. We will have to go through the tribulation, but not through the wrath. We are not appointed to wrath. Then the next thing is false prophets will lead many astray. And this is out of Jeremiah. It says, "For the house of Israel and the house of Yehudah have utterly betrayed me, declares Yahuwah. They have been untrue to Yahuwah and said, 'It is not he. No evil comes upon us, nor do we see sword or scarcity of food.' And the prophets have become wind, and the word is not in them. Thus shall be done to them. Therefore thus says Yahuwah Elohim of hosts, because you speak this word, see, I am making my words in your mouth fire, and this people wood, and it shall devour them. See, I am bringing a nation against you from afar, O house of Israel, declares Yahuwah. It is an enduring nation. It is an ancient nation, a nation whose language you do not know, nor do you understand what they say. Their quiver is like an open tomb. All of them are mighty men, and they shall eat up your harvest and your bread, which your sons and daughters should eat. They shall eat up your flocks and your herds. They shall eat up your vines and your fig trees. With the sword, they shall demolish your walled cities in which you are trusting in." Remember the great wall that somebody wants to erect? We don't need to worry about trusting in that wall to protect us. They'll get in by another way, even if it's built. "But even in those days, declares Yahuwah, I shall not make a complete end of you. And it shall be when they say, 'Why does Yahuwah our Elohim do all this to us?' Then you shall answer them, 'As you have forsaken me and served foreign mighty ones in your land, so you shall serve foreigners in a land that is not yours.'" The next thing is lawlessness equals lovelessness. Matthew 7:22-23. "Many shall say to me in that day, 'Master, Master,' or 'Lord, Lord,'" whatever you want to say. Or even Yahuwah, Yahuwah. To those who call on his name but don't keep his commandments. They will say, "Have we not prophesied in your name and cast out demons in your name and done many mighty works in your name?" And then I shall declare to them, "I never knew you. Depart from me, you who work lawlessness." In other words, they are not Torah keepers. John 14:15-18. "If you love me, says Yahushua, you shall guard my commands. And I shall ask the Father, and he shall give you another helper to stay with you forever." That's reassuring. "The Spirit of truth is the helper, whom the world is unable to receive because it does not see him or know him. But you know him, for he stays with you and shall be in you. I shall not leave you orphans. I am coming to you." Look at Romans 6:1-13. "What then shall we say? Shall we continue in sin to let favor increase? Let it not be. How shall we who died to sin live in it? Or do you not know that as many of us as were immersed into Messiah, Yahushua, were immersed into his death? We were therefore buried with him through immersion into death, that as Messiah was raised from the dead by the esteem of the Father, so also we should walk in newness of life. For if we have come to be grown together in the likeness of his death, we shall also be of the resurrection. Knowing this, that our old man was impaled with him, so that the body of sin might be rendered powerless to serve sin no longer. For he who has died has been made right from sin. And if we died with the Messiah, we believe that we shall also live with him, knowing that Messiah, having been raised from the dead, dies no more. Death no longer rules over him. For in that he died to sin once for all. But in that he lives to Elohim. So you also reckon yourselves to be dead indeed to sin, but alive to Elohim in Messiah Yahushua our Master. Therefore, do not let sin reign in your mortal body to obey it in its desires, neither present your members as instruments of unrighteousness to sin, but present yourselves to Elohim as being alive from the dead, and your members as instruments of righteousness to Elohim. And the last thing that happens in this outline is the witnesses proclaim good news to the world, and then the end. Isaiah 43:10 says, "You are my witnesses, declares Yahuwah, and my servant whom I have chosen, so that you know and believe me and understand that I am he." And he's speaking directly to Israel, which is both houses of Israel, the house of Yehudah and the house of Ephraim. Here in Acts 1:8 it says, "But you shall receive power when the set-apart Spirit has come upon you, and you shall be my witnesses in Jerusalem and in all Yehudah and Shomron and to the end of the earth." You know, I truly do not believe that the two witnesses are just two men. I believe the two witnesses are the two houses of Israel. I believe that very strongly. I don't have time right now to get into that study with you right now, but one of these days I will put on a study about the two witnesses. But it is you and me, brothers and sisters. We are the witnesses. And it's been the Yahudim and the Ephraimites all through history, ever since Ephraim was divided from the tribes of Yehudah, that this has been going on. We have been witnesses in the world. Both Judah and Ephraim have been witnesses all this time. They were scattered, we were scattered, Ephraimites were scattered all over the world. And we took the knowledge of the scriptures with us, and we proclaimed it. So now let me get to this portion of the signs in the sun, the moon, and the stars. See, these are the timestamps that Yahuwah has given to us, and he placed in the heavens. They're timestamps. And when Yahuwah does this in the heavens, you know it's the truth. It's nothing that man has done, but it is everything that he has done, because he created the stars and he named every one of the stars. He put them in their place, and he is telling stories in the heavens, and he's giving these understandings to his prophets, and he's allowing them to see the truth in the heavens. Because it says in Psalm 19, the heavens declare the glory of Elohim, and the firmament shows the work of his hand. What is his hand? The hand is the Messiah. So the firmament is showing the work of his Messiah. But that's another study. But look here in Genesis 1:14. And Elohim said, "Let lights come to be in the expanse of the heavens to separate the day from the night, and let them be for signs and appointed times and for days and years." Now this word, signs, Brown Driver Briggs, it is oath in Hebrew, and it means mark, or describe with a mark. And that's exactly what these signs are doing. Strong's Exhaustive Concordance says it's a primitive root, and it means to extend or mark out, to point out. So this is what the Father is doing. He is pointing out to us in the heavens and saying, look, this is a mark. This is a stamp in time. And this is what is going to happen hereafter. Luke 21:25-28, look what Messiah says. And there shall be signs in the sun and moon and stars. Or in other words, there shall be marks and pointing out in the sun and moon and stars, and on the earth anxiety of nations and bewilderment, at the roaring of the sea and agitation, men fainting from fear, and the expectation of what is coming on the earth, for the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then they shall see the Son of Adam coming in the cloud with power and much esteem. And when these matters begin to take place, look up and lift up your heads, because your redemption draws nigh. We are so close now. We are so close. So now let me show you the signs that prove it. In the book of Numbers, there was a prophecy given about a sign of a star foretelling of the Messiah that was seen later by the Magi in the east. Numbers 24:17. It says, I see him, but not now. Who is he talking about? Well, he's talking about the Messiah who is portrayed in the heavens in the stars. It says, I see him, but not now. I observe him, but not near. So in other words, he's in the heavens. The heavens are declaring the work of the Messiah, but he hasn't come yet. So here's a sign. A star shall come out of Yaakov, or Jacob, and a scepter shall rise out of Israel, and shall smite the corners of Moab and destroy all the sons of Seth. Now Matthew 2:1-11. And Yahushua, having been born in Bethlehem of Yehuda, in the days of Herodes the sovereign, see, Magi from the east came to Jerusalem, saying, where is he who has been born sovereign of the Yahudim? For we have seen his star in the east and have come to do reverence to him. How did they know to look for him in the heavens if this was not something we should be doing? You see, Daniel, when he was exiled to Babylon, he and all of Judah, they knew about the stars. Because, of course, Yahuwah gave the knowledge of the stars to Adam and to the descendants on down, especially to Abraham. Remember how he told him to look up and see if he could count the number of the stars, and that his seed would be as the number of the stars? So it's saying that they're asking this question, where is he who has been born sovereign of the Yahudim? For we saw his star in the east and have come to do reverence to him. And Herodes, or Herod, the sovereign, having heard, was troubled, and all Jerusalem with him. And having gathered all the chief priests and scribes of the people together, he asked them where the Messiah was to be born, and they said to him, in Bethlehem, or house of bread of Yehuda. That's really interesting that they would call this town house of bread. Because if this is where the Messiah was to be born, this is the very place where the bread of heaven would come. So it is the house of bread. For thus it has been written by the prophet, but you, Bethlehem, in the land of Yehuda, You are by no means least among the rulers of Yehuda, for out of you shall come a ruler who shall shepherd my people Israel. Then Herod, having called the Magi secretly, learned exactly from them what time the star appeared. And having sent them to Bethlehem, he said, Go and search diligently for the child, and when you have found him, bring him back word to me, so that I too might go and do reverence to him. And having heard the sovereign, they went. And see, or behold, the star which they had seen in the east went before them, until it came and stood over where the child was. And seeing the star, they rejoiced with exceedingly great joy. And coming into the house, they saw the child with Miriam, his mother, and fell down and did reverence to him. And opening their treasures, they presented to him gifts of gold and frankincense and myrrh. Okay, there's another sign or oath that declares the coming of the Messiah in Isaiah 7:14. Remember that, what I said? This is the sign that Yahushua is referring to in Matthew when he said, and these are the beginning of birth pains. It says, therefore, Yahuwah himself gives you a sign. Look, the maiden conceives and gives birth to a son, and shall call his name Emmanuel. Matthew 1:18 through 25 says, But the birth of Yahushua Messiah was as follows. After his mother Miriam was engaged to Joseph, before they came together, she was found to be pregnant from the set-apart spirit. And Joseph, her husband, being righteous and not wishing to make her a show of her, had in mind to put her away secretly. But while he thought about this, see, a messenger or an angel of Yahuwah appeared to him in a dream, saying, Joseph, son of David, do not be afraid to take Miriam as your wife, for that which is in her was brought forth from the set-apart spirit. And she shall give birth to a son, and you shall call his name Yahushua, for he shall save his people from their sins. And all this came to be in order to fulfill what was spoken by Yahuwah through the prophet Isaiah, saying, See, a maiden shall conceive, and she shall give birth to a son, and they shall call his name Emmanuel, which translated means El with us. And Joseph, awaking from his sleep, did as the messenger of Yahuwah commanded him, and took his wife, but knew her not until she gave birth to her son, the firstborn. And he called his name Yahushua, which means Yahuwah saves. Yahushua. Thus as these signs were given to Israel, so they would know when their Messiah would come. So these same signs are given to us so we could know the time of his return. This next picture is showing the star of Bethlehem, as seen in June of 2016, when Jupiter and Venus were in a conjunction. This only happens every 2,000 years. And here's the picture. See, here's Jupiter and here's Venus, and they have come close together, and that is what makes the star seem so bright. So, does the sign of the Virgin show itself in our time? The answer is yes. This sign was given to us in Revelation 12:1 and 2. And a great sign was seen in the heaven. A woman clad with the sun, with the moon under her feet, and on her head a crown of 12 stars. And being pregnant, she cried out in labor and in pain to give birth. Okay, so here I'm showing you this picture of September 23rd, 2017. This sign here, with everything in it, with this woman clothed with the sun, the moon under her feet, and upon her head a crown of 12 stars, and she being with child cried, travailing in birth and pain to be delivered. This sign is the greatest sign given in all of the scriptures. It is referred to more than any other sign in the heavens. It's actually a combination of two signs. Of course, we have Virgo, which in Latin means the virgin. And then we have Leo, which is the lion, which is actually, we can see in a prophecy in Genesis chapter 48, or 49, excuse me, chapter 48, chapter 49, of a lion, and it says that Judah is a lion's cub, and that the scepter shall not depart from between his feet until Shiloh comes. Well, interestingly enough, Regulus, in between the feet of Leo, is the king's star. And then Jupiter comes along and does a circle around Regulus, which is the king planet. So you have the king planet circling the king's star, and it's saying, King, King, King. And so here we have, then it goes from there and comes into Virgo, the different time. And so the scepter has departed from Judah. And so this is showing us that this is a fulfillment of this prophecy in Genesis. And so we need to realize that this prophecy is done, and we're moving into this next prophecy about Virgo in Revelation 12, because this is the act of Shiloh coming. This is the act of Messiah coming. It says that the scepter shall not depart from between the feet of Judah, or the lion, until Shiloh comes. And Virgo is showing us that Shiloh is coming. Because when Jupiter comes into the belly of Virgo, it comes in and does a circle around inside her belly, and then leaves and goes outside her belly. So when Jupiter is doing that circle, it takes 42 weeks, which is a very prophetic number. 42 weeks is showing us about the prophecy of the 42 months in Daniel chapter 9. 42 months, or 3.5 years, or 1,260 days. It's all the same time. Do the math. So this is showing us a gestation period of exactly 42 weeks that Jupiter is displaying in the belly of Virgo. How incredible is that? You know, you can't make this stuff up. This is actually happening in the heavens right now. Jupiter right now is already in the belly of Virgo. And so in September 23rd of this year, Jupiter is going to exit the belly of Virgo on that day. And then that is showing us that this sign, or the 6th millennium, when the scepter was between the feet of Judah, that this millennium, the 6th millennium, is coming to a close. And the beginning of the 7th millennium is going to start the next day after Jupiter exits Virgo. Here is the scriptures that I want you to read for yourself. These are all dealing with the constellation Virgo, or the woman, and having pain of childbirth. And you can see from these verses what we can expect. Okay, so now, going on, I want to share a prophecy with you from Rabbi Judah ben Samuel. He made an amazing prophecy in 1217 concerning the future of Jerusalem that already has 3 accurate fulfillments from 1517 to 1967. The prophecy further predicts the start of the Messianic end time by 2017. Here is the prophecy. When the Ottomans conquer Jerusalem, they will rule over Jerusalem for 8 jubilees. Afterwards, Jerusalem will become a no man's land for 1 jubilee. And then in the 10th jubilee, it will once again come back into the possession of the Jewish nation, which would signify the beginning of the Messianic end time. Here are the fulfillments of this prophecy so far. Number 1, when the Ottomans conquered Jerusalem, they will rule over Jerusalem for 8 jubilees. This happened 300 years after Ben Samuel's death in 1517 when the Turks conquered Jerusalem. Remember, Ben Samuel lived in 1217, and here it is 1517 when the Turks conquered Jerusalem. That's 300 years. Number 2, afterwards Jerusalem will become a no man's land for 1 jubilee. Well, from 1917 to 1967, the British conquered the Turks, and the League of Nations took the mandate for Holy Land to the British, making Jerusalem no man's land under the international law. And that international law was the Balfour Declaration. Number 3, then in the 9th Jubilee, it will once again come back into the possession of the Jewish nation, which would signify the beginning of the Messianic end time, 1967 to 2017. In 1967's Six-Day War, Israel retook Jerusalem. What a fabulous time that was. And don't let anyone ever tell you that this was not supposed to happen, or that Yahuwah's hand was not in this, because this is actually showing us when the Jubilees are. These are 50 years apart. You can't get around it. All of these in his prophecy are dealing with Jubilees. And here's a graph or a timeline, and it shows you exactly what I'm talking about. Here's 300 years, 1217 to 1517. Here's 400 years, 8 jubilees, the rule of the Ottoman Turks until 1917, when the Turks lose Jerusalem. And it becomes a no man's land for 1 jubilee. And then Israel took control. And this is the end of the end times. And this next, coming up to this next, the end of this next jubilee. So, we have come to the end of this age. And now we have this 7-year piece of another prophecy in Daniel chapter 9, the last week in the 70-week prophecy. As soon as we see the sign of Virgo in the heavens, in September 23rd, it will begin the 7-year tribulation. But this prophecy goes with Yahushua's prophecy. So it proves that his prophecy was true. Look at this in Matthew 24, 32 through 34. And learn this parable from the fig tree. When its branch has already become tender and puts forth leaves, you know that the summer is near. So you also, when you see all these, know that he is near at the doors. Truly I say to you, this generation shall by no means pass away until this takes place. The heaven and the earth shall pass away, but my words shall by no means pass away. So when Israel became a nation again, its branch became tender. See, Israel is the fig tree. The meaning of the fig tree is in Hosea 9:10. It says, I found Israel like grapes in the wilderness. I saw your fathers as the first fruits on the fig tree in its beginning. Jeremiah 24 is a big one. It really shows it. Yahuwah showed me, and look, there were 2 baskets of figs set before the Hikal of Yahuwah. After Nebuchadnezzar, a sovereign of Babel, and exiled Yechonyahu, son of Jehoiakim, sovereign of Yehuda, and the heads of Yehuda, with the craftsmen and smiths from Jerusalem, and had brought them to Babel. One basket had very good figs, like the figs that are first ripe. And the other basket had very spoilt figs, which could not be eaten. They were so spoilt. And Yahuwah said to me, what do you see, Yirmiyahu? And I said, figs. The good figs, very good. And the spoiled, very spoiled, which could not be eaten, they are so spoiled. Again, the word of Yahuwah came to me saying, thus said Yahuwah, the Elohim of Israel, like these good figs, so do I acknowledge the exiles of Yehuda, whom I have sent out of this place for their own good, into the land of the Chaldeans. And I shall set my eyes on them for good, and shall bring them back to this land, and I shall build them up and not pull them down, and shall plant them and not pluck them up. And I shall give them a heart to know me, that I am Yahuwah. And they shall be my people, and I shall be their Elohim, for they shall turn back to me with all their heart. And as the spoilt figs that could not be eaten because they are so spoiled, for thus said Yahuwah, so do I give up Tzidkiyahu, the sovereign of Yehuda, his heads, the rest of Jerusalem, who remain in this land, and those who dwell in the land of Mitzrayim. And I shall make them a horror to all the reigns of the earth, for evil to be a reproach and a byword, a mockery and a curse, in all the places to which I drive them. And I shall send the sword, the scarcity of food, and the pestilence among them, till they are consumed from the land that I gave to them and their fathers. So, this establishes the fact that Yahushua was referring to the exiles of Judah when he spoke of the fig tree. And this prophecy shows Israel finally took possession of Israel during the Six-Day War in 1967. And 50 years later, we come to 2017. The year that the famous sign of the Virgin of Israel that will be seen September 23rd. Now, if we count from 1957-58, when the land was given back to Israel, it would be 70 years until today. Biblically, a generation is 70 years. This is so significant because Yahushua said that the generation that saw the fig tree putting forth buds or come back to the land would not perish until all that he prophesied would take place. I was born in 1955, and now I am 61 years old. And so all these things must take place within my generation. Are there any more signs that we are given to us to point us to these last days? Signs of the moon. And I shall give signs in the heavens and upon the earth, blood and fire and columns of smoke. The sun is turned into darkness and the moon into blood before the coming of the great and awesome day of Yahuwah. And it shall be that everyone who calls on the name of Yahuwah shall be delivered. For on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem there shall be an escape, as Yahuwah has said, and among the survivors whom Yahuwah calls. That was Joel chapter 2. And now this is Matthew 24, 29 and 30. Immediately after the distress of those days, the sun shall be darkened and the moon shall not give its light. See, there's another sign of the moon. It's the same sign. It'll turn red and will not give off its bright white light. The moon shall not give its light. And the stars shall fall from the heaven, and the powers of the heavens shall be shaken. And then the sign of the Son of Adam shall appear in the heaven, and then all the tribes of the earth shall mourn, and they shall see the Son of Adam coming on the clouds of the heaven with power and much esteem. Okay, here is the sign in the sun. This is very important. This sign is coming up very quickly, in August 21st this year. And only in America there's going to be a solar eclipse that spans all the way across from Oregon to South Carolina. The last time this happened was in 1776, when our great nation gained its independence. Does this signify the end of our independence? There is the track that goes all the way. The shadow of the moon will hit Oregon here and go through 12 states. That's significant in itself. And the last time a full solar eclipse that only happened in the United States, remember, was in 1776. This is Yahuwah showing us that He knows what is happening in history. He knows what is happening in the future. And He is stamping this with the signs of the heavens. He is placing it so that we can see it with our own eyes, and we can do our own observations, and we can see how Yahuwah tells us with the heavens what is happening. And if that's not good enough, 7 years later in 2024, there will be another eclipse crossing the other way, forming an X between the two paths. And look, the two paths cross over the New Madrid fault line. They're saying that the New Madrid fault line could break in any time. They're saying even that Yellowstone could break at any time. They're saying that a huge earthquake here on the coast of California could break at any time. Brothers and sisters, we are definitely in the last days. If any one of these things happened to us, it would be totally devastating. That's why we need to pray and ask Yahuwah that we would be found worthy to escape all these things that are coming upon the earth. So Yahuwah is showing us with these eclipses that the 7-year tribulation is about to begin. After the sign of Revelation 12:1 appears in September 23rd of this year, we will be in the great tribulation that the prophets have been writing or warning us about for centuries. From the eclipse on August 21st to the sign of Virgo, there will be 33 days between the two signs. And this follows Scripture. I want you to see something. A brother of mine shared this with me just today. And that was Brother Lee. Leviticus 12. And Yahuwah spoke to Moshe, saying, "Speak to the children of Israel, saying, when a woman has conceived and has given birth to a male child, then she shall be unclean 7 days, as in the days of her monthly separation she is unclean. And on the 8th day, the flesh of his foreskin is circumcised, and she remains in the blood of her cleansing 33 days. She does not touch whatever is set apart, and she does not come into the set apart place until the days of her cleansing are completed. Well, not only is this a law given in the book of Leviticus, but see, these laws are very prophetic. We have to realize this. This is why he had us rehearse these laws. And this is why he gave them to us, so that we would see these patterns. After the woman delivers her child, or after the body of Messiah is brought forth, then she will have to go through 30 days of cleansing. 33 days. Just as it shows in the scripture in Leviticus. So until we are cleansed, we will not be able to enter the house of Yahuwah. Now look at Revelation 7:13-17. This is exactly what it says. Who are these dressed in white robes, and where do they come from? And upon further investigation, you'll understand that the ones dressed in white robes, and too numerous to count, that is Ephraim, the house of Ephraim. And a lot of us are from the house of Ephraim here in America. And I said to him, Master, you know who are dressed in white robes and where they came from. And he said to me, these are those coming out of the great distress, having washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Because of this, because they have been cleansed, they are before the throne of Elohim. They do get to go in and serve him day and night in his dwelling place. And he who sits on the throne shall spread his tent over them. And they shall no longer hunger, neither thirst anymore, neither shall the sun strike them, nor any heat, because the Lamb who is in the midst of the throne shall shepherd them and lead them to fountains of waters of life. And Elohim shall wipe away every tear from their eyes. So this is the reason why I myself am adhering to the signs that are given. This is the very reason why these scriptures mean so much to me. And this is the reason why I want to share this to all those that I love. And this is why I put it on this video. Because I love my family. I love my brothers and sisters in Yahuwah. And I love people in general. And if this at least will wake up even one person, it's worth it to me. I want more people in the kingdom. And unless we wake up and see the signs that are in the heavens, and we attach them to the scriptures, and see how that the scriptures are bearing out what the heavens are trying to tell us, then we will not have any hope for the future. Because after all of this happens, after the 7 years of devastation happens, and we are raised up off of this planet and taken to the mountain of the house of Yahuwah, into a place of safety, then, this is where I want to be. And this is where I want everyone to be. And this is the only hope that we have. It's not all bad. Let me tell you, it's not all bad. We may have to suffer persecution from the nations of the earth. This is one thing that I thought about. People wonder if the Bible is true or not. But I'll tell you, it says this, and it proves the Bible is true. He said, you shall be hated by all people for my name's sake. I have declared Yahuwah's name. And many of the people in the Messianic community know this. And people in the Messianic community have come against me. People in my family have come against me. People in the world have come against me. But I'm telling you, I will have a greater reward for standing up for truth and speaking my mind as to the truth of the Scriptures. And I love you guys. That's why I'm telling you this. I'm not afraid of persecution. This is the truth. And we will shortly find it out. And so, let me just pray very quickly. Father Yahuwah, I pray that these words do not fall on deaf ears. I pray, Father, that you will open their eyes and open their ears and give them a heart to understand, so that they understand the times that we're living in. And they understand that they have a chance now, before the doors are closed, to receive the Messiah and to be able to enter in to safety and to be hidden and held under the shadow of the wings of the Almighty. And I just thank you, Father, for forewarning us and letting us know what is about to happen, and that you are about to destroy the earth just like you did way back in the days of Noah. And what is coming upon the earth is horrific. I do not want to be faced with the wrath of Elohim, because he's coming against his enemies. And I do not want to be his enemy. I want to be his friend. So, Father, in the name of your Son, Yahushua, I pray for all these people that are watching this video right now, and that you would allow them to come to the truth and accept the Messiah and believe in Yahuwah, the Almighty. There is no other king. There is no other God. There is no other Elohim greater than Yahuwah Almighty. You are great, Father. And I declare your name to everyone. In the name of your Son, Yahushua. Amen. I appreciate you listening to the video, and I hope that it was easy to understand. I will try to help you understand them. Thank you. Shalom.